podcast with Espresso with Vinny. Here we are, relaxing again in a beautiful summer day. I'm so excited. And Vinny, of course, he's got a lot to say today, but I'm going to have to do some translations, right, Vin? Okay. So, as usual, the traditional toast. I had to cool down the drink. Last time we were at a Ferrari event, he had to spit it out. It was too hot, poor kid. Anyway, cheers, eh? Everybody, buongiorno again. So, where do we go in dog training when I would say a good 95% of the problems out there are due to training the owner? So, there's two types of clients you get. You get the one that says, I got it. I don't want to treat the dog like a human. It's not a human. I'm busy. I'm not an expert, whether it's behavioral or basic obedience. What do I do to improve it? So they come to me and say, tell me how to think like a dog, react like a dog, make it happen, I'll do it. Okay, that's one client. There's the other one that has a problem with self-realization. Now, this is the majority of the people. Okay, when you have a problem with self-realization, it means most of the things that happen in your life, you actually don't understand why you're receiving it, whether it's the laws of attraction, which some people just don't seem to get and think it's kind of hocus pocus. They'll live probably long enough to figure out that it's not. But let's skip over that for a second. But the self-realization is when you look inward, understanding yourself, okay, where you place your faith in yourself in the hands of the universe, that you can't control everything. So for those people that want to plan their whole life out so the day they die, these people always suffer. They're not good at relationships of any kind. Okay, you have to be able to let go, let the world do what it needs to do, the universe, and focus on yourself from within. That's self-realization. Where spiritually you reach higher levels naturally because every day you have honest conversations with yourself. Okay, so as my grandfather used to always say, look in the mirror, look in the mirror. This is who you are. Can you live with that? What do you want to improve? Self-realization. As we've seen throughout history, people go after the messenger. So when you go after the messenger, that means you're too insecure in yourself to hear the truth. It's honestly too painful. Your ego's too big. Something is involved where you don't like being proven wrong. You don't want your culture to be proven wrong, your religion to be proven wrong, your own philosophy and whatever you've been taught to believe all your life wrong. And so you're going to project and you're going to just gaslight and get angry at the person who's giving you the truth. Problem is, you hire me, you're going to get the truth, 100% the truth. I'm not going to sit here and just take your money and tolerate doing what the media says to do. And that's just, what I've explained many times, just give a cookie to the dog and positive reinforcement only. So let's go into the realm of self-realization. If you look at dogs and you see them running all together in a group, hunting, maybe none of you have ever seen this, but if you did, you would realize that dogs do work in packs. You don't even have to train some of these breeds. The genetic pool is so close to what they were when they were feral. They know how to work together and move around these animals and hunt with you. Automatic, just like some breeds know how to retrieve, pick up a duck and bring it back. So Vinny, for instance, he likes to chase after the squirrels. He likes to go after coyotes on his back legs and hit the fence hard and tell them to get off the property. Don't even get near the property. I didn't teach him this. He had what we call a lot of prey drive. That's an instinctive drive to go hunt and protect, right? Some of the dogs could care less. So don't tell me about your 5 dogs that you worked with in the past and that they were all a certain way and that you would never have to train a dog another way, etc. Because this, again, is your ego speaking. You don't write books on dog training or child care when you've only had one child. It's not going to work. Even 5 kids, 10 dogs, 20 kids. You don't write books on child psychology and dog behavioral based on such limited experiences. Telling me what you've seen in the videos in so many areas is just telling me that you're part of the war, information wars, and you just believe everything that's been dumped into you. Because it becomes a chain reaction when you don't look within and you don't go back to self-realization. A lot of this you hear in all the prophets speaking of it, all the yogas from India. When you don't look within, you get influenced by everything on the outside because, of course, you're looking on the outside to solve your problem. But inside was always your problem. This is the client that most of the time I'm having to deal with when they don't realize that they're the problem. Their emotional intelligence is so low because they either had some dominating mother pecking at their head all the time saying, take it away and I'll have to do it for you. I'll show you what to do. When it was really the mother that had problems with self-realization. And she felt that she had to prove to everyone, see, I'm the superwoman. I can do it all. You can't. So you eventually have a child grow up that never matures to become an adult because they were never allowed to have critical thinking skills and just simply figure something out. Well, there's a big problem when you come to a dog trainer and you have a dog with behavioral issues and you keep going again and again and nothing's getting done. You are not looking within yourself, realizing that you don't like to really think because you were never forced to think. If you give people options, don't think, relax, sit in a hammock, go get a PhD, study, or go work 15 hours a day and run a business, they're probably going to take the hammock because they don't understand what it takes to be successful. Because I'm talking about young children. They don't understand it, so they want the easy way. It's not until they're running hungry and they're starving to death that they realize now they're forced to go get a job or they're forced to go get a degree so they can get a better job and have a better life. So being forced into something is my job to talk to the client and tell them, this is reality. This breed needs this from you. And whether your emotional intelligence can handle that truth is not my problem. Okay? You have to understand that it has something with you deep in you, the way you were raised by your parents. They never just like poked you and pushed you and said, get it done, stop arguing, move your butt. And because of that, this self-realization never popped in where you don't get up in the morning or go to bed at night thinking about what do I do to get better? There's other people out there in the world doing better than me in many different categories. Why are they? Think about it. Study them. If everybody's miserable, why would you want to follow their advice? If all their dogs are dysfunctional, why would you want to just keep doing positive reinforcement only? But what happened was we went through several decades, generations of people that their parents never taught them balance. Everything's an extreme, meaning that you can't just be a loving parent and disciplinary parent. They don't understand balance. They were never taught balance. And this is the key problem. And when I'm trying to train clientele, is they were never raised with structure. Like structure meaning you will get it done. Stop arguing, child. Figure it out. I'm not going to keep answering your questions. Figure it out. So now the kids are never put under the pressure to figure it out. It's the multiple choice again. You know, you have 5 options or none of the above. So you're never forced to really figure much out. Everyone's handing everything to you. Versus here's a question, write an essay on how you would solve it. I don't need to tell you, you tell me. And that's where our education system went wrong. That's where we failed in training our children to think. And the over-dominating parents, I'll do it for you. Don't worry, I don't want you stressed. I'll do anything to protect you. I want you to have the easy life. Easy life means that you're sensitive to everything. Then all the propaganda about sensitivity came into play. And now you can't figure out why you can't keep a relationship, can't keep a job, can't train your dogs. And I'm telling you, this is the #1 problem that we have in dog training is people do not look within their own self where their childhood was. They're not convinced that balance can be done. Honestly, if you've never experienced balance and your parents never showed you this equilibrium of very strict and then, hey, that was a great job, you don't have any self-reflection or any concept. You think it's bad. You know how many of my clients come to me and say, I guess I have to be mean. Mean. Structure's mean. This is coming from people that never reached high levels of professional sports, never reached high levels of playing a musical instrument, never reached high levels in school and structure, and had the balance of someone saying, I love you, I care for you, you did a great job. So they never had balance. It's critical you have balance when you train these animals. These animals need to know that you love them. So these balance in animals, they need to know that you love them all the time. Get a big smile on the dog's face. You're very compassionate with them. There's plenty of cuddle time. But if this all I did, I'd have a broken animal. It'd be a mentally stunted emotional growth. And this is what happened to this generation of so many clients that are out looking for a dog trainer. And I constantly just have to say, I can't help you. I try to let them down gently, but people get offended because it's like, no, I can't help you. You had the opportunity when the dog was a puppy. Now it's too much of a challenge. When the dog's a puppy, obviously you can go easier on it. When I got Vinny, he was already a year old, so it was a lot of challenge. When I got my John Schnauzer, Ember, she was a huge challenge because she was 2.5 years old. When you're dealing with an adult dog or an adolescent year old, and you come to me saying, David, I really need help on understanding this, that's great. But there's still the emotional intelligence where the client can easily fail because there's self-realization of understanding that your emotions are so strong, overpowering yourself. A good definition of emotional intelligence when someone says, I have a lot of passion, I have a lot of emotions, but I don't let them take me and take control of me. I'm going to analyze them. I'm going to do good with the emotion because I'm going to be like an engineer. I'm going to focus and understand where to go. I can also be intuitive and be creative with it. I'm going to take everything that I've learned in life and apply it all at the same time before I make a decision. But most people are stuck in that emotional intelligence will succeed. The people that don't have the emotional intelligence, that were never raised with it, have no idea what I'm talking about as a dog trainer. Extremely frustrating for me. I don't know what to do with someone like that. I can't go back in your time and your history and change you from this emotional intelligence. And the problem is, I've tried it many times where I get these calls where it's a big, powerful dog and it's a petite lady, or sometimes not a petite lady, but it's just people in general. They don't have that strength to say, I'm going to stay consistent once David leaves. If I'm standing over the person all the time and explaining something to them, their mind's on track. The minute I leave and their friends contact them and they read articles and they call me up the next day, David, I've been doing research and I don't know about this. I'm like, I got the receipts. I've been doing this for years. You've seen my videos. You're going by off your research. I mean, I can research the FDA. They'll say all these foods are wonderful for me, and there's no evidence they're causing cancer. But I see a lot of really dumbed down population that are unhealthy also. They can't compete because the people that eat well and exercise don't have these problems, most of them, unless it's congenital of some sort. So don't tell me about your research. I don't want to hear about it. I have the receipts. You came to me for that reason. You're boring me in this conversation. Go away. I'll fix another dog with somebody else that deserves it. But I can't even be honest with people without them crying and getting upset, and etc. And it's very interesting how people don't judge themselves. Again, if we were all looking at ourselves all day saying, where do I go from here to improve? I wouldn't have these problems. Okay? You won't have problems if you study yourself. If you meditate, think about who you are. This is the number one problem in dog training. And I'm telling you, if you don't change all these problems and all these excuses, because after a while it's excuses, we can't blame our parents, can't blame society. We know we live in a crazy world, but it's time you change. The ideal client, again, is the person who comes along and says, David, hey, I understand what you're explaining. I looked at your website. It makes so much sense to me, and I'm willing to change. Just tell me how to speak their language. So I just become like giving them a dog language course, which is obviously many levels. There's the body language, there's the voice tones, there's the equipment you're using. So I'm not trying to do anything that is not part of nature. So it may seem harsh to you, but it's not seem harsh to the dog or to nature. We don't treat little Pomeranians like we treat big dogs. He's got, his little macho Cuban link gold chain on, but he's a macho dog, right? But I don't take a little Pomeranian and do that. It could be just a light little harness and the slip lead. So I'm adapting to the animal. But again, that's self-realization, realizing the physics, the size of the animal, the brain of the animal, what they're capable of. If you're getting big dogs, read the label, people. Read the label. Were they guardians? Were they fighting dogs in the past? Were they hunting dogs? Were they police dogs? Are you sure you can handle that? Most people have an ego, again, no self-realization, and then they're upset if they fail. Yeah. So, Vinny, tell the people. Tell them you need leadership if you want a big boy like you, huh? Right? Capiche? Vinny knows. Vinny always knows. Ready? It was meant to be with me. All right. Arrivederci. Ciao. So the next time I see all of you, I want you to be enlightened. Okay? Self-help books, focus. The most successful people put their egos down. They go to quiet places and sit alone. And they read and read and read and focus on themselves. And we'll all have a better world. Believe me. Okay? Ciao, ciao.